Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hey there, and a good morning to you. It'd be the 14th of May, 2024, and man, we got a lot of news to cover. And we've got my sister Susan with us to help. Hi, Suze.
Good morning.
Good morning. Everything okay there?
Everything's fine. I'm just exhausted.
I bet.
Full-time grandmothering stuff is hard work.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I can't imagine. Anyway, a lot going on. There's the Trump trial and the cross-examination of Michael Cohen today, which is sure to be I don't know. I don't like to say it, but I was going to say a shit show. That said, for lack of coming up with a better word, the other big story here and is the passing of Cyril Wecht, who was a extraordinary character in every way. I don't even know where to begin in terms of talking about Cyril. I am grateful to one of the audience members who sent me a video of a show from, God, I don't know, was it whenever the OJ trial was going on? When was the OJ trial? When was that?
In the 80s sometime?
No. It was 90s or like 2000 or something. It was
Really?
I think so. I don't know.
My decades all roll together. I
know they do when you get old. That's what happens. But it was it was a show I did called Cullen Devlin, and Cyril was a guest along with another attorney, and it was during the OJ trial, and I was watching it this morning and just watching, being reminded of Cyril, and how I loved jousting with him and how smart he was and what a wondrous character. OJ was 95, I'm being told. Okay, yeah, 95, Suze.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have letters from Cyril that I cherish because they show his the mercurial aspect of his personality, and I don't think he liked me much in the last 15, 20 years of his life, and that was because he ran for county executive, and it was a first ever position. The county had been governed by a 3-member county commission, and then it was decided to go to a county executive form of government. And Cyril was the Democratic candidate for that office, and believe it or not, I voted for the Republican. Something that I can assure you I would never do today, but I was public about not supporting Cyril because I just could not imagine him in an administrative capacity. I just thought he was such a chaos agent in many ways. I was probably wrong. I have no idea. That's one of those things you'll never know. The Republican did win. He never forgave me. So, and I have
Well,
a
I don't
very
know.
funny letter,
Listen, you.
a funny letter from him that went on and on, just excoriating me. And I treasure it.
Yeah, and that's fine, but that's also why he probably wouldn't have been a good county executive.
Well,
I mean, the things that you're right. He was a chaos agent, and there's enough chaos in government without the executive being the leader of it. It has to be someone who can deal with, tamp down, and organize it, not create it.
And yet he ran like he totally revolutionized the county coroner's office when he was that, and he was the administrator of that. And I don't know, but yes, that's exactly why I felt I just thought he would not be the person for that job. I'm looking at a quote from him that refers to this mercurial personality of his, and this is from the obituary in the local paper. He says, "I'm not embarrassed by or fearful of confrontations, nor do I walk away and turn the other cheek. I am somewhat volatile." There's a understatement of huge proportions. I am somewhat volatile. I am not a placid, cool, or calm person. I don't suffer affronts or attacks graciously or gracefully. It's my personality, my psyche, my constitutional makeup. So he knew, I mean, who he was. And then he knew that some people found him, so erratic as a result of this mercurial personality that he goes on to say, "I'm not a lunatic. A lot of people are just plain envious." Now, here's where you see this other side of Cyril, which was this huge
The one that gives him, well, he gives himself permission.
egomania.
He gives himself permission to do whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted, and say whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted, and do things that, if he also in that obit were how he was frequently running afoul of the law. And, when they pick it apart, okay, he wasn't for his gain, but it also wasn't in the rules.
Ever. I mean,
it wasn't for his gain. It wasn't. He was trying to do what he wanted to do. But, the problem when you're within government is you can't do that.
Well, he was not. I think Cyril felt, and maybe he was right 99% of the time, that he was always the smartest person in the room.
Yeah,
and
that does not give you permission.
Yeah. So he says, a lot of people are just envious, he says of him. He says, "I know that sounds egotistical, but I am what I am," which is, of course, an egotist. And he was my cohort in talk radio, Doug Hirth, was very close to him, and they loved each other. A very unlikely pair, I assure you, but they were both consumed with the Kennedy assassination. And Cyril actually, I mean, he had a role to play in that, and never ever could be told that the Warren Commission report was not a bunch of bull. And I suspect he's right about that too. So
probably.
Yeah. I mean, he was just what an amazing character. He could have been
what I thought was interesting. Could you figure out how many degrees he actually had? I mean, they made it sound like I got it that he had an undergraduate degree, a medical degree, a law degree, but they made it sound like he had several others interspersed in there.
Well, I think he had two law degrees. Yeah. He was highly.
So he had an undergrad and a graduate law degree. Okay.
Yeah, he was highly educated, and he was also an extremely accomplished violinist, and probably could have been. That's what he could have been. He could have been a violinist, except you have to keep your mouth shut while you're playing the violin, and keeping his mouth shut was not something Cyril was capable of doing. I also love the fact that, like our father, he never used a 2-syllable word where a 7-syllable word would suffice, and so his conversation was always filled with these. It often sounded funny, and I'm sure to many people's ears sounded incomprehensible, but he had this huge vocabulary, and he used it, promiscuously. I thought the cutest quote I saw was by a now long gone Pittsburgh Press opinion maker, who said, "Under ordinary circumstances, Cyril Wecht is approximately as calm as a wet rooster." And that's it. That's it. Well, he was one of those people. A friend texted me and said, "I know you had a long-standing relationship with him. I'm sending my condolences." And then she said, he was one of those people that you never thought would die. Some people are just so full of life, are so dynamic, are so astonishing in their energy and the breadth of their impact, that you just can't imagine them being gone. And he was so physically fit and vital up until, I don't know, the last time I saw him actually was at a funeral, and he looked fantastic, and he never seemed to age in that regard. Anyway, I will miss him. I truly will miss him, and I'm not alone.
Well, he won't miss you, Lynn.
Well, he also sent me lovely letters. He was one of those people, who wrote letters. It was an old, you were talking the other day about how Mr.
Rogers did it, yeah.
Right. So I have like a little folder full of letters from Mr. Rogers, and then I have another with Cyril Wecht, because I got that many from him. Sometimes just a dashed note, most of them nice, but not only did he not mind confrontation, he seemed to relish it at times, but he had a huge impact, just in terms of his forensic pathologist work and his expert testimony in cases all over the place. It was hard to find a big case where he had, was not called in as the expert. Boy.
Well, when you do get that, when you get the medical plus the legal degrees, it really it really helps you understand what you're looking for in both situations.
That's right. And again, and then paired with a extraordinarily supple mind.
Right. It's not an easy thing to do, to combine the two things and to testify, to give medical facts in the proper legal context.
Right.
And so if you have a witness that can do that for you instead of having to elicit it, that's a big help.
So to, imagine performing over 21,000 autopsies and then 42,000 postmortem examinations that he consulted on or testified for. He wrote more than 650 professional publications, edited 48 books, co-authored
talk about seeing dead people. Jeez.
Yeah, co-authored popular nonfiction books, Grave Secrets, Who Killed John Benet Ramsey, Mortal Evidence, Tales from the Morgue, Crime Scene to Courtroom, Final Exams. This is a guy who I bet slept no more than 4 hours a night. How do you do all that? Wow. Had a strong marriage, 4 children.
Yeah.
One of his sons is on the Supreme Court of the state, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. He had a consequential life, and even though he hadn't been in the public eye for a year or so, at least to my knowledge, man, just knowing he's not there, I'm just gonna miss him. Just gonna miss him. All right. Well, if anybody else has anything to say, speak now or forever hold your peace. You know what I didn't talk about since I've been back is Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s brainworm.
Oh, we haven't talked about that?
No.
I thought we did. I thought we touched on it, but yeah.
How would we touch on it when I think it happened after, when I...
Oh, yeah. No, we were together. We did talk about it.
Well, yeah, we talked about it in Green Bay. I'm talking on the show.
Right? I'm sorry. It's so rare we're actually talking to each other that other people aren't listening.
Yeah. So, so we did, and I just have to say, I loved it. I mean, you can't beat something like that. But the reality here is that this jerk, and it is what he is, this jerk is polling at this point, and granted, it'll fall off, I'm sure, at 10% in the presidential race. And he is pulling votes from both Biden and Trump, but mostly from Biden. And he could be, in a close election, which this is going to be, he could be the Ralph Nader of this election and give the White House to Donald Trump. And
yeah, he could. But I've seen polls that say he's taking him from Trump.
No, he's taking him from both.
Up what they want.
Well, he's taking him from both, and he is, because he's politically so amorphous. I mean, he is mostly socially liberal, mostly, and also socially insane. And then he's fiscally sort of conservative. His foreign policy is sort of isolationist. And so he does appeal in many ways to that sort of in-between voter. I saw this, his wife now is, that Cheryl Hines, who is
the funded ex-wife, right?
What? Sure.
She's the ex-wife of the co-founder of what, Microsoft or something?
No. That's his running mate.
Oh, his running mate. You're talking Cheryl Hines, his wife, right?
Cheryl Hines is his wife, who's on
right.
Well, it's now over. Curb Your Enthusiasm. She played Larry David's wife.
Right.
And when I heard she was married to him, it just broke my heart, since I really had enjoyed her, and now I can't even look at her. But he married her after having been married twice before, and his second wife killed herself, committed suicide. And her
I remember
family said it was largely a result of having been married to him. It drove her to suicide because he was emotionally and psychologically abusive. And they offered up his own diaries to the New York Post. And oh my God, this is from 2001. He logged his sexual encounters, and he has never contested this, including 3 in one day. He ranked women from 1 to 10. He described his inability to control his sexual, what he called his lust demons. And he apparently just screwed everything in sight.
Well, why would anyone want him?
Well, I guess he's capable of being charming. He's good looking. I don't know. His name is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I don't know.
I don't get it.
Well, anyway,
he can give you a disease.
He also was a heroin addict at one point, and he got hepatitis C from using a needle. I wouldn't go near this guy. I mean, granted, his father was killed when he was 14 years old, and I bet that, coming on the heels of his uncle being shot to death as well, I mean, that can't be good as you're growing.
No, it's real trauma. Yeah,
it's real trauma. But boy, is he a piece of work. Anyway, so he's got a dead worm in his brain. The worm is dead, and you got to wonder, the worm ate part of his brain.
No, here's what happened. The worm, exactly. The worm ate part of his brain and then died. What else do you need to know?
Well, right. What does that tell you? What does it tell you? Yeah. I mean, the worm could have kept eating.
He's got a poisonous brain.
Yeah. And it's just sort of, so he's got a dead worm now in his brain, surrounded by, some kind of a whatever the brain does to protect itself from a dead worm. And so I was reading this, and I hate to give people something else to be concerned about. But
you suddenly had all the symptoms.
No, it turns out that it would not be unusual if you or I were infected with one of the parasites that likes to be in your brain. Says here, I'm looking at this, it's from the science section of the New York Times, over 40 million people in the United States may well be infected with the parasite that causes toxoplasmosis, and that is a parasitic brain infection. I'm just saying, we carry it. I'm including myself if it makes anybody feel a little better. You carry it. It doesn't always, manifest itself. You can live your life with it and never know it. But if it decides to act up, or if your immune system goes down, then yeah, you can end up with toxoplasmosis.
Great. Now all the people with OCD out there have one more to stop it.
What? It says here you wouldn't know it if you had it, and blah blah blah. This, by the way, is the same parasite. You know, when you're a pregnant woman and they tell you don't go near the cat box.
That letter.
And it's because one of the places you can encounter this parasite is in cat poop. And it can do harm to a fetus. So they tell pregnant women, stay away. Even though, I mean, as somebody who's scooped lots of cat poop in my life, I might very easily be one of the people who's walking around with this parasite in me. It just hasn't, as I said, manifested itself in a way that I find objectionable. Otherwise, I'm perfectly willing to let it. You imagine all the parasites living in our bodies?
No, but yes. So I was listening to. Apparently, there's an author that's written a movie or a series, and I'm going to screw it all up. But the character, both the author and the lead character are a young girl. The author being a young man. Both have OCD, and he decided to give it to his character and put this poor teenage girl through life with this, and she's got a boyfriend who she enjoys and loves, and she wants to kiss him, but all she can think of is whether she'll now get some of his disgusting microbes in her and have to worry about those too. And she does research, it makes it very difficult.
Yeah. Hey, did you know?
So
I'm sorry. I was trying to read something while you were talking, so you only had part of my. I'm sorry.
That's okay. What were you reading?
Well, Bob in Braddock sent me this. That last year the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. Do you remember who was in that?
Martha Stewart.
Right. And yeah. So he said, look at this. In 1 year, they went from Martha Stewart to, and I'm looking at her, she looks good, Gayle King.
Oh.
Gayle King, that's Oprah's girlfriend, right?
Best friend.
Yeah. And she's no spring chicken. She looks damn good. I'm just looking at her. But didn't Sports Illustrated go belly up? Kinda. It did.
Yes. Well, it's yes. Everything has.
Yeah. Oh boy. One of our listeners says, I was infected with toxoplasmosis in utero. You mean when you were?
Yes.
When she was
in utero.
Unborn child?
When she was, yes.
And she says, one of my eyes is damaged with scars from it. And my mother probably got it from, scooping cat litter.
Cat litter.
Whoa. Dang. Well, I'm sorry about that, but geez. So there you go. Oh, what was the unlikely in the Trump trial when when Stormy Daniels was testifying? Whose name came up? I just have to do this as a shout out to my Pittsburgh audience. Whose name came up in the Trump trial and Stormy Daniels' testimony? Or maybe it was Michael Cohen's testimony yesterday. I have no idea. It's come up more than once. our Pittsburgh Steeler quarterback, Ben Roethlesberger.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah, yes, doesn't have a good reputation.
I mean, gee,
for some reason,
what a surprise.
Well, no, this city totally forgave him. It's ridiculous. I can't believe it. He is around here. You don't hear. I mention his name outside, like our brother said. Oh yeah, he's considered a rapist everywhere else but Pittsburgh. It's amazing because I guess he was our rapist and a damn good quarterback. So, and then he seemed to stop raping women.
Well, now you understand. That's how you understand people. Just certain people don't get held accountable, and we need to examine that.
Yeah.
Or we wouldn't be so scared about the upcoming election.
Well, anyway, apparently Trump was Roethlisberger was his partner at the golf outing that all this happened at. So, and apparently Trump was boasting that the women preferred him to Big Ben. Even though I guess at the time both would just take whatever they wanted. Jeez.
Right.
Oh my.
At what point does preference have anything to do with it on the woman's part?
Oh God. Hey.
And how Melania can stay with him after this testimony where, he didn't care about her. I mean, he just said, how long do you think I'd be on the market?
Yeah, that's, well, if you believe,
disturbingly is true.
Sounds exactly like him. How do you, Cohen said that he wasn't when he said, oh God, how's this going to play upstairs, pointing up to the penthouse. And Trump said, I don't care. How long would I be on the market? Meaning, I'd get another one.
So desirable. I'd just get another one. And the fact of the matter is that appears to be true.
Oh, sure.
I mean, look at Rupert Murdoch, that desirable piece of flesh.
Yeah. The Mab, who got toxoplasmosis in utero, wrote back, luckily I don't have any effects from it. Oh, that's great. She says, but boy, do ophthalmologists love looking at my eyes. So they look and they say, what?
What's that?
What is
But as long
that?
as you can see, and
Whoa. So I guess at the trial yesterday, Trump had all of these, his ass kissers and acolytes were out. And because there's no gag order on them, they were doing what Trump wanted to do. And this despicable Senator Tuberville,
Tommy Tuberville, who lives in Florida but does not represent that state.
No, and it is generally believed to be the stupidest person, which takes some doing now. I tell you, really takes some doing.
Yeah, no, really. I mean, the stupid. Is all of Congress or just the Senate?
No, I think all of Congress. They say he is the stupidest.
Well, you mean even better than Marjorie Taylor Greene?
Yes.
That's
she. I don't know. Anyway, Tommy Tuberville went to the trial yesterday to give his support and gravitas to the former president. And afterwards, because Trump can't do this anymore, referred to the jury as, get this, supposedly American citizens.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Isn't that something? And, I feel for these people. I was thinking things had calmed down in that regard, but I feel for them because if they do vote to convict, there will be such an effort to identify and come at them. I mean, unbelievable. And Senator J.D. Vance, who was also at the trial in support of Trump, afterwards.
I'm so glad I never read his book or saw the movie made from the book.
Yeah. He went after the judge's daughter. Now, see, both of these senators did what Trump cannot do because of the gag order. He's not to say anything about the jury. He's not to say anything about the judge's daughter. And so they did it for him because that's what his bootlickers do. And Senator Vance said that Judge Merchant's daughter, who happens to be a political consultant, quote, is making millions of dollars running against Donald Trump, raising money for Donald Trump's political opponents. So, as if that has any bearing on anything, what a judge's daughter is doing for a living.
Does for a living?
Oh, God help us. Really. And meanwhile, in another courtroom, I don't think did this get any play yesterday at all? In another New York courtroom, another slimeball politician who is currently a defendant was sitting as they attempted to find a jury to decide whether he is a felon. And that is a Democrat, Senator Menendez.
Wait, wasn't he in New Jersey?
New Jersey.
It's a federal crime.
So it's a federal crime. Okay. He tried to get it in New Jersey, but they got him next door in New York. And he is as vile a cookie as you can
really
conjure. So, yeah, he's accused of, I mean, he was using his position.
Well, when he and his wife together looked like Boris and Natalia. What was her name?
Natasha. Yeah, a little bit. Boris and Natasha, although Natasha had dark hair. This one's got
dark hair, but it's just the right.
The physicality.
The physicality, yeah.
And my understanding is, she's been indicted as well, but her trial has been pulled away from his because apparently his defense is going to be to blame it on her.
Right. And then she'll blame it on him.
No, I have a feeling that blaming it on her has some merit, since she was the sort of go-between who hooked him up with these businessmen, who then hooked him up with some Egyptian, guy who wanted favors, and it's just
they wanted to control the halal market, and that's a big deal.
Yeah, but there was also, it's just unbelievable. So she'll get a separate trial. They both should go.
And there's another one in Texas. There's another Democrat in Texas that just
he's a House member.
Something else.
House member. Yeah. I was sad to see that one because I always thought that guy was a good congressman. Ay. So, it was interesting being brought back in time to 1995 as I watched this old show and listened to some intelligent folks like Cyril Wecht talk about the OJ trial as it was happening. And then I forgot, because one of the things we're talking about is how jurors, once the trial started, jurors started getting pulled out of the jury box. Jurors started turning on each other. Jurors, and some of it was along racial lines, so there was all this. And imagine a jury. They were sequestered for, I don't know, how long was that trial? At the time of this interview, they'd already been sequestered for something like 6 weeks.
And they were at each other's throats.
Yeah, and part of it was knowing that the whole country was transfixed by the trial, and that it was breaking down along racial lines, and the jury was made up of blacks and whites, and the pressure they would feel. And I was thinking of how this was so much like the Trump trial now, with this poor jury under so much stress, but at least not having the trial televised. And I had asked, do you think that the fact that we're all watching this in any way changes the trial? And Cyril and the other attorney, a defense attorney that was there, said that they really did think that the cameras in the courtroom were definitely altering the trial's trajectory in many ways, because there is no doubt that the prosecution and the defense were playing to the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And they all,
no,
and
of course, and they showed the jurors in that trial, right? Did they show them?
I don't think so. It's amazing how much we don't remember.
Me, I don't remember
no,
that. I don't remember
think so.
Seeing them.
I think we saw
By the way, that's the other thing I'm noticing. Have you suddenly, no matter what source of news you're listening to, everybody is coughing through everything. It used to, there's something going around right now. Everybody is on air constantly coughing, which I find very interesting. That used to be a very rare thing.
Why did you say that? Did I just cough?
No, I just coughed.
Oh, you just coughed. I thought, did I cough?
No, I coughed and excused myself, but then thought, you know what? I just listened to about 80 people cough on air, and I never used to see that.
Well, what are you going to do? Hey, speaking of that, oh, by the way, I also wanted to get this in. It was interesting that I said, what do you think the verdict will be? And Cyril said, it'll be a hung jury. So, I mean, he at least didn't think it would be a conviction, which I think most people thought it would be, didn't it? I know I did.
Along racial lines. Although,
no, but
not
even
necessarily.
Well, yeah, but he thought it'd be hung, and you know, he was close, but they got an acquittal, right? Yeah,
right.
So why would it be? Now I'm confused. So all you need for the acquittal is for one juror to say no. So a hung jury would be created when they
simply can't reach any conclusion.
They cannot reach.
But a hung jury, right?
Huh. Well, that's as good as
yeah. Well, or they have to retry.
You can retry. I don't know.
Right. There's no double jeopardy attached. Oh, they frequently retry.
Well, speaking of coughing,
Yes.
I note that we're about apparently to be treated to something that we got treated to last summer. Does
A
anyone?
new kind of COVID.
No, it's nothing you want, but it's in this world that seems to be coming apart at the seams on all levels and sides. Yeah, the
Bagworms.
wildfire season has begun in
Oh
earnest
yeah, they're all
in
yeah. We're
Canada.
gonna get the smoke again.
In
Yeah,
Canada,
British
and
Columbia.
already there are air quality warnings. The thing I just saw included Green Bay. So
Oh
Wisconsin is getting hit right now, but we know how that works. That's going to come south as the fires get more so. The air, the wind is going to take it because we had a lot of days where that Canadian smoke was evident and it's not good.
yeah.
So it's going to happen again. So this is a new normal of this warmed planet that
Well,
cannot
and
be.
what's interesting is that the fires never go out. They continue to smolder in the root systems, and then the second the conditions get appropriate again, they just flare up by themselves. It's the old fires that were never put out, and they seem to be put out, but they aren't.
Well, so this is the new summer
Yeah.
normal that our air will be. I mean, geez. The planet's burning up, literally, figuratively, and the consequences increasingly being visible and felt and smelled, and yet there are people who are oblivious. I guess that's because they think, well, what can you do? It's just something that's
Well,
happening.
it's not going to necessarily affect them. They'll be dead before the end of the world, so who cares? My question is how these people don't care about their children and their grandchildren and their antecedent, their what comes after them.
Well, that's exactly the conversation I was having with my insurance agent yesterday. Um, I haven't talked to her in a long, long time, and she asked about my son and then asked if I had grandchildren, and I said, no, I don't. My sister and my brother have grandchildren. Um, and she says, well, I increasingly see young people that are saying they don't want to have children in this world. And I said, I completely understand that. And yet, the desire and just the human desire to recreate and procreate is so strong that we do. And I just cannot conceive of the world these wondrous grandchildren are going to inhabit.
Right.
And I can't imagine. I can't even imagine parenting in this uh, world now. And my hat goes off to any and all who go into parenting in this day and age with a clear eyes and knowledge. But wow.
Well, it's a scary rule, and there's so many rules about how you do things these days. It's just,
Oh, that's bull. What rules? You mean the pressure? This pressure, parenting pressure, which is, I think, so over the top. It's
no. There's just little things like car seats. I'm telling you, they've made them to the point where it takes me a good long time to get the child in and get the child out, and I was thinking it's just me and my old hands. And then I realized, no, I always think it takes my kids a long time too.
Well, how much more complicated is a car seat now?
I don't know. It seems to, all the things seem to work the same. It just is harder to get people in and out. Or maybe they're in so tight, maybe the way we use them was not correct. I don't know. The seatbelts are very complicated.
Well, when you see, and I mean, I remember, parents now with the amount of accoutrements that apparently are necessary with children. And that seems to do nothing but continue to grow and grow and grow. So, it used to be back in the day, you needed a diaper bag if you were going somewhere, right? That was it. And oh my God. And it'll just keep on keeping on. I feel for these parents, and I really do. And I don't think I could do it myself. Well, of course I could if I had to, but I just, I don't think. I don't know. Susan is now taking care of one of her grandchildren because the family has, is down an adult, and it's exhausting. Yeah, you're gonna be. How long are you gonna be there? You think?
It is. I don't know. As long as I'm needed. But it's very nice. I got to get my granddaughter up and sit with her in the front room and snuggle and as always, your best sleep is right before you gotta wake up. Boy, did she not want to wake up.
Aww.
But it was awfully nice. And she knows that I'm just lousy at this, so she's decided it's her job to help me through. She gets very frustrated with me because it just keeps telling me something is just wrong. And finally, she stops arguing with me and waits for a parent to show up. And then she points to him. They go, "Oh, yeah, it goes this way." And I go, "Oh, I thought."
But is it just her routine that you're getting wrong? Or, I mean, you're not really doing anything wrong.
No. Well, no, like I'm trying to assemble the 6-part cup, the cover that makes the straw go down and the straw comes up, and I thought I had it on right, and there was only one way it could possibly go, but no, I was wrong.
See, and you're good at that kind of thing. I would be like, I'd be standing there like, what? I mean, so much to know now. It gets complicated. So
it just does.
It does.
Yeah.
So are you?
But the animals think I'm an expert, so that's good. They're happy to.
Okay, and so you got to deal with what? A dog, a cat, and a kid.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Sue's been there, done that, and I keep reading these stats about how many grandparents in this day and age end up
are just doing it
full
time.
Well,
that's not my
full time. Can you imagine? Whoa. I do know one.
In some ways, yeah. Oh, it's hard work.
Yeah.
It's just because you're old, and even though I can think I'm very, very strong, it's hard to lift the child up and put the child in the car and get the child. It's hard work.
It is. Hey, Delana says, I missed the beginning of the show. Did either of you share the photo of Blue on the roof? You can't share a story and then not show us the photo.
Well,
I don't know how to do my Facebook page, and now they can't get into it at City.
I'll see if I can bring you up and post on it. I'll try.
How do I post it on? I don't think, guys.
Well, you have to go up.
What?
You can post to someone, so I can post something to you, and then it goes on your page.
Well, if people can get at my, okay, so can you do that so that it will be
on
on my Facebook page?
I will try.
Because, yes, blue on the roof.
I'll try. I'll have to figure it out because I'll figure it out.
Really? Why would it be difficult? Don't you post pictures to Facebook?
Yes, I do, but to my page.
Oh. Well,
I'll figure it out.
Delana, Susan doesn't have much to do right now, so I wouldn't, whatever. I'm being sarcastic. But maybe she can get around to it. I'm of no use to you whatsoever. Although I was thinking, geez, how do I get that picture out there? I just don't know how.
Well, I'll see if I can do it.
Okay, I got some news from Louisiana. It looks like Louisiana is going to be the first state in the country to categorize mifepristone, that's the abortion pill, as a controlled dangerous substance. And because it will be a controlled dangerous substance in Louisiana, anybody possessing it will be threatened with incarceration.
Oh, God. What is it with these guys?
What? I don't know. The war on women continues apace. Wow. You can't.
I mean, why can't we get these guys on torture or something? I do not understand how they can not hear these stories and understand the horrors that they are causing.
Well,
they really must hate women. I don't get it. They must really hate them.
Well, I don't know about,
or discount them. They're just like
no,
cows.
they view them women differently. They are not. They are, I guess, beneath them, literally and figuratively, are dangerous, and they do need to be controlled.
And are fundamentally breeders. And that's all they are.
Breeders, right?
So they're cows.
It's something. It really is. So, well, I won't get into all that depressing stuff. I see we're almost out of time, and I'm trying to think of something happy.
Duh. I know.
It's hard.
It's a dark and cold and rainy day here.
Oh, Delana says, doesn't look like your Facebook page is open for others to post on.
Well, then I can't.
Okay.
Then that would make sense.
She said, how about Twitter? I'd go back to Twitter for that. Oh, shoot. Okay, I can try to put it on Twitter.
You can post it on Twitter.
And I can put it on the Threads if you're on Threads, which is the Meta Twitter. I'm on both of those, but I rarely look at either. But I will try to, put the picture up there with some explanation for people who are wondering why they're looking at a dog on a roof. And
well, you can just say, when you can't find your dog anywhere, don't forget to check the roof.
There you go. Thank you, Susan. Susan
often
comes up.
What happened?
No, Susan often comes up with the exact. Because you know what that reminds me of, when you came up with the exact thing that I should say at your dear husband's funeral.
Funeral, right?
And he had asked that I, be the MC, And I, obviously was quite willing. The problem was I had had a horrific fall and had my arm in a sling, and I had a huge black eye. I mean, just purple eye. And I said, how do I explain this? And you said, in your grief, you came up with, just tell them it's an old Jewish custom that in our grief, we bang our fists into our eye.
We sock ourselves in the eye and throw ourselves down the stairs. It still makes me laugh.
Oh, God.
Well, I got a good laugh that day, too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I will say that when I was, my son-in-law is doing very well after a surgery in the hospital. That's why I'm here, and he's coming home today. We just found out.
But how wonderful!
They, take all of your medication away from you when you're in the hospital, and they have to give it back to you. If they see fit. So the nurse is in there, and she's holding Mike's inhaler, and she said, "Oh yeah, we had to confiscate this from you, and so don't forget to see if you can get it back when you leave. And do you need it now?" And I just looked at it. I said, "Hey, Mike, now you know what it's like to feel like a woman." And the nurse just looked at me with these big eyes and then starts guffawing. And she goes, "Yeah." She said, "You can't have it." And she walked out.
Well,
it was.
What do you mean they confiscate?
They take all of any prescription meds that you have when you're in the hospital. You aren't allowed to use your own, and they take them and they dispense them to you. They take responsibility for the dispensing of all of your medications.
Okay, yeah, that's true. And then they charge you when you've got your own supply. They charge you for each pill, is what they do, as I recall.
Well, anyway.
And huge amounts.
They took away his inhaler.
Yeah. Let him die of asthma while he's in here. God almighty.
Right.
Okay, so listen, I just got good news from Kevin back at the city paper, who must be listening, because he has Blue's picture, because I shared it with him, and he said he can get it onto my Facebook page. Okay?
Yay!
So Kevin will post that.
That's nice.
And there will be Blue on the roof.
Yeah, well, that dog scared the bejesus out of me, I just want to say, because it was my responsibility to comfort him and keep him safe in the way while you were out shopping. And I thought I'd done such a great job. And
oh, well. Anyway,
I had
harm,
no idea
no
he
foul.
was going to. Well, all I can see is Blue to the rescue, because we're such idiots, we don't realize you're missing. So he crashes through the window to get you there. It was very sweet.
Very cute. Yeah. Anyway, Blue on the roof. Yeah. It's not a great picture, but there it is, Blue on the roof. And thank you, Kevin, and thank you, Susan. And I'm glad that Mike will get home today. That'll be wonderful. Good.
I'm gonna make a big pot of Oliver stew.
Ooh, yum. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks a million. Bye. Okay, guys. I guess that be it. And I should be back tomorrow. I seem very tentative about everything, and I have to tell you this: that watching that interview with Cyril that I did, 95. So how many years ago is that? God, it's almost 30 years ago. I was so much quicker and on top of things then than I am now. I mean, truly. I sort of marveled watching and thinking, man, words came easily, long sentences without ums and ers. And I also want to say that Ann Devlin was not there that night, and replacing her was P.J. Maloney, who he was at KQV, which is gone too. And boy, was he charming and funny, and also just a heck of a conversationalist and interviewer, and I just found it delightful. And I want to thank Mark for sending that to me and reminding me of my life, what I did, because I feel rather isolated now and a lot less capable. It's I think it comes with age. That's what I suspect. Anyway, that's it. God, I got to get out of here. Thank you all for being there, if in fact you were, or are, or whatever. And I should be back tomorrow. The good Lord willin' and the creeks don't rise. That's a shout out to Doug Hirth, who right now might be welcoming Cyril Wecht to heaven.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.